Hello everybody and welcome back to the training video series on the 5 keys to trading success. My name is Pete Renzulli and I'm very excited to be offering you this training, which is a preview of our Super Conference, which is going to be here in New York City, October 6th and 7th. At the Super Conference, we are going to cover some exciting new cutting-edge strategies that work in today's market. That's the single biggest thing you want to be covering, what works now. What we're going to cover here today is a quick recap of the first key, which was mapping out your trader path, and more importantly, what milestones you need to achieve and how that relates into the second piece. But before I get started, I got an email the other day that my mom and my Aunt Teresa both watched the previous video on Facebook. So two things about that. I have to make sure, according to them, that I do a better job of explaining so that what I am teaching you can use, as well as I'd very much like to ask everybody at the end of the video, if you scroll down on the page, if you could leave a comment and or like us on Facebook, so that if you feel the education is good, or if you'd like to let some of your friends know about the Super Conference, it'll go a little bit out to everybody's news feed, and we really appreciate that, especially if you feel that we're providing good value here. So what I'm going to do first, I am going to cover very quickly the milestones, because very interestingly, in the first video, I talked about one little part of the milestone in there that we kind of brushed by because we're going to spend a little time on this video. This video should roughly be about 10 minutes, but it's action-packed, content-packed, and again, stuff that you can apply without it being too complicated. So the first step here is you get started as a trader. Now, whether you're a short-term day trader like myself, a swing trader, or a longer-term position trader, the milestones do not change because we're going to relate that to running a business. The first one is you want to prove to yourself over a minimum of 3 months you could run a business that's generating revenue that's gross profitable. Okay, 3 months is a very specific term. It's quarterly. All big companies report quarterly. Run your business to report quarterly and see how you're doing from a gross trading perspective, gross dollar earning perspective. If you can't get past stage 1, you absolutely don't want to make the mistake of going to stage 2, which most traders do, which is immediately increasing their share size and increasing the amount of positions. Now, there's two different things here. If you accomplish milestone 1, the next logical step, in my experience, which now is over 12 years of trading, is you want to get to the next step where you start doing more of what works more often. And the way to do that is you increase your share size a little bit. Now, you don't have to go crazy. Even if you go from 100 shares to 200 shares, you're running your business at a little bit different level. And then you try and do what works more often in multiple positions. Once you've accomplished that, you add what we call more stuff. You add sector analysis. You add the market a little bit more detail to say, what is the market doing in conjunction with what I see in my stock? What are the other stocks in my sector or industry doing, so that we can get to the point where you do what I call building an argument. You want a preponderance of evidence. I know, big word there. Preponderance of evidence to build an argument, to have conviction and confidence. Now, this is one of the single biggest things in my long tenured experience at this point. Most traders build weak arguments for getting involved in allocating capital. Whether it's something you plan on holding a year or something you plan on holding 3 days, you want your best ideas to have absolute conviction that this is the right idea. And then in the next video, we're going to talk about tactically entering into those good ideas. But by far, you want first to have a lot of confidence in the case you build to say, I definitely want to be a buyer or I definitely want to be a seller. And I'm going to get into that. We're going to cover that in a couple seconds on how to do that strategically. Once you get to this point where you start adding more pieces of the market puzzle to what you're seeing in the stock, now you start to build a great argument for how solid your strategy is, ultimately getting to milestone number 4 over here, where you are going to add a second strategy. So if I could just follow up on this very quickly before we move on. Essentially what I generally teach is a market pyramid here. You have what's going on in your individual stock. You have what's going on in the sector or industry for that stock. And then you have the actual market itself. And when I define market, I'm specifically talking about you're going to be looking at the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and the Dow Jones. In conjunction, are they all doing the same thing? Now, to take that a little bit further without making it difficult. If you have to think too hard, you're making it too complicated. It's very simple. What you're looking for here are the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P doing the same thing. It essentially means that all of that buying pressure is doing the same thing, and you can expect to have really solid confidence that what is going on now will continue. That is essentially the idea of putting on trades and allocating capital. What I see, I've just built an argument that it will continue, so I'm going to allocate money to this idea. The quicker you can process, in the last video we actually called that being able to recognize more, the quicker you can process these things, how obvious is the market? How obvious, again, I'll just throw, for example, out there, let's say we're looking at Citigroup. What are the other stocks that are in the same industry/sector as Citigroup? Is everything doing the same thing or is it not? Now, how does that affect confidence and conviction and never allow you to hesitate on a trade? If everything in the sector and the market is doing the same thing, so you create a little checklist for yourself, and you probably start up at the stock saying, I like this stock, and you work your way down, are all the other stocks doing the same thing? And is the market doing the same thing that my stocks are doing? Once you have that little quick checklist, what this does is it will increase your trade expectation based on how you look at your stock from a strategic perspective. Now, we're going to cover strategic perspective now. That's the point of this entire video. So I'm just going to get this stuff off the screen here. And we're going to talk about the difference between a strategy and a game plan. Okay, so first we have strategy. Excuse me, not a game plan, trading plan. Game plan we're going to talk about when we talk about tactics in the next video. Very, very often these are confused. Very, very often people see them as the same thing. And again, getting back to my Aunt Teresa and my mom watching this video on Facebook sometime in the next day or two, I want to keep it as simple as possible so that you can look at it and say, you know what, that kind of makes sense. Why didn't I think of that before? Or maybe I did think of it, but I just didn't, sometimes hearing it a little differently. Your strategy is your edge, okay? Very, very simple. Your strategy is your edge. Now, to take that into easy to apply or easy to relate to terms, it simply means setting something up where you believe it will happen more often than not. And that's what you're looking for when you're looking for your ideas. You're looking for patterns in the market where your edge is present. In other words, I believe this, when this happens, I believe this will happen next. So in other words, very simple trend following. If the trend is in place, my strategy is to only be trading in that direction. Now that's oversimplifying it, but you get the idea. Now the point that I want to make here with strategy, trading strategy is very similar to business strategy. My background is I've been running businesses now since I'm 23 years old. Okay, so I have, I can say how old I am. I have a lot of experience running businesses. And one of the key concepts, the key philosophies to running any successful business, including a trading management business, is you need to know where your edge is. You need to know how you're going to attack that market and feel like you have an advantage over the competition. Now, here's the key that is the big takeaway from this video. Your strategy must be simple so that you can follow it all the time and make it scalable. Now, I'm going to give you a very quick example, and it actually relates to the trade of Milestones, and it's going to be kind of cool to tie this in with big business and how you're running your own trading business. We went through all of this to get to the point where we said we're possibly going to start to run a second strategy when this happens. Now, I have a little prop here, and I'm sure everybody can recognize this, right? What is their business strategy? Their business strategy is to sell you coffee and know your name when you walk in the door. That's it. That is it, period. They call themselves the third place between work and home, but really boiled down what their core strategy is. Very, very simple. Learn somebody's name, learn their drink, and that's it. Get them in, get them out, make them feel comfortable. What happened after that company was in business for a while? They started to add other pieces to the puzzle. They started to add other strategies for increasing revenue. They started to add breakfast, something they hadn't done for a long time. Okay? We're going to go to another one. When you see that company, what do you think of? You think of the one thing that they're known for, search engines, right? Is that the only business they have now? That stock is at new all-time highs. What's happened over the last 3 or 4 years? The company has now started to add other strategies. Internal funding, doing more strategies. So you see what's going on here? Prove your business model, your strategy works, and then start to add more strategies. Now, to break it down a little bit further, strategy is edge. And this is what I want you to write down now, and I hope you're writing notes down. Strategy is trade expectation. Trade expectation means, very, very simply, How do I recognize if something is more likely to happen more often? So in other words, can I pick a side and be comfortable or confident? Can I pick a significant reference point that says I don't or do expect it to go through these levels? You have to pull that out of whether you're looking at fundamentals, whether you're looking at balance sheets, whether you're looking at news every day. You need to know what your strategy is to define an edge. One of the single biggest mistakes most traders make when they're in between milestones 1 and 2 is they try and run multiple strategies without having the experience or the capital to do so. So what I want you to take out of this video is break your strategy down to as simple terms as possible. And here's the way I do with people that I mentor. Very simple. If you walk out of the room for 3 hours, can you explain in 3 or 4 sentences to your apprentice sitting next to you, if this happens, that's our edge, then we allocate capital? Can you explain it that simply? Period. Okay, so now you need to be able to write that down. Tying this entire thing together is for one reason and one reason only. Have you ever hesitated entering or exiting a trade? Virtually everybody has. Now let's get into why that happens and how that relates to this. When you believe 100% that your idea is valid, that your edge happens more often than not, you should never hesitate. Because what you're saying is, I don't believe it's going to work this time. If you ever say that, if you ever catch yourself hesitating, you don't believe in your strategy long enough. Now I want to jump to the end here so we can get to the next video, quite honestly. Your number one goal is to trade your strategy flawlessly and then manage your positions according to your trading plan. Very, very simple. But why is it difficult? Because we want to make it more complicated. It can't be that simple. It is simple when you boil it down to how you define your edge. The problem is, in today's world, we are so inundated with so much information that you feel like you need to know everything. And I'll give you a little experience from when I started. I have this huge bookshelf of trading books. And the first year of trading, I ended up having 12 one-month experiences because I was trying something new every month. Now, there's nothing wrong with trying something new, but you must be diligent in getting to the point where you say, how much capital do I have? How much experience do I have? And what skill level do I have that I have any right to be trading more than one strategy? Some people are trading 3, 4, 5. How do I trade flat markets? How do I trade up and down market? How do I trade options? How do I trade Forex? How do I trade futures? How do I pick one thing? Again, do something really, really well, and then do it more often. And then let your business grow internally instead of doing what most people do. They're constantly focused on, I need to make money now, right away, before they have conviction in their strategy. So the bottom line, what I'm going to tell you is, at the Super Conference, we are going to cover cutting-edge strategies that we use in today's market so that you can take it on a legal pad, write down all the ideas we cover at the event, and then go home over the weekend and say, how do I apply this to my own experience, my own capital, to get to the point where I can add a second strategy, if I even need a second strategy. My guess, based on my experience, is after the Super Conference and we start to cover all of this stuff, you're going to get to the point where you're saying, I'm trying to do too much because my business has not gone through these milestones yet. I am sure if you've opened an account and you're trading and you're watching this, you have a burning desire to succeed as a trader. Why wouldn't you? You want the freedom that comes with trading. You want the freedom that comes with becoming your own boss. Maybe there's just milestones you want to hit where you want to pay for a really nice vacation. Or maybe you want to pay your mortgage or your rent out of your trading profits. Whatever it is that inspires you to be a trader, if I can inspire you to first and foremost come up with a strategy where you say, that edge makes sense, and I'm going to apply that as often possible before I start going crazy with multiple strategies. Prove to yourself with real money that you can follow a strategy that, one, you believe in, you will never hesitate, and take the examples of some of the biggest companies out there. Do one thing really, really well. Prove to yourself it makes sense. Prove to yourself you could follow it. Prove to yourself with real money it will produce consistent profits, and then think about going on to stage 2. Now, I'm going to finish up with 2 points here. You don't have to go to stage 2. You could actually stay here, increase share size and positions without even developing a second strategy, or even needing one. Think about it, McDonald's. Or let's go to Domino's. Fast hot pizza delivered in 30 minutes. It doesn't even say it's good. It just says it's fast and it's going to be hot. What is your one strategy that you could do over and over and over again? Get to that point. When this video is done, write it down. Say, can I leave the room if I had an apprentice next to me and say, this is how we define an edge for something we believe happens more often than possible. If this happens, call me. We're going to get involved. Very, very key. Now, trading plan is something we're going to cover next, because strategy is a part of a trading plan. Trading plan actually covers your strategy, your tactics, your money management plan, and your trade management plan. So it's very, very important to have all of those. So strategy is a part of the trading plan. So again, I hope you come to see us at the October event. My name is Pete Renzulli, October 6th and 7th here in New York City at the Marriott Marquis. You can go to the website, T3Live.com. But also, if you could do me a favor, if you're finding these videos helpful, please scroll to the bottom, like us on Facebook, help us spread the word about the education as well as the upcoming Super Conference. Thanks, everybody. And if you have any questions about this, please shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have. Peter@T3Live.com. Have a great day. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.